Yeah, buddy. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Childish. We are back at it again. Episode 4 of Educate and Dominate, uh, featuring Rengar from Clan Nova. But this is a different kind of. This is going to be a different kind of interview today, guys. For those that don't know, Rengar is actually from Barcelona, Spain. He is overseas in his main language. Of course, is Spanish and French. He does not speak English. However, he can write English really, really well. So, lo and behold, I told him that I would still love to do an interview, and I decided to go ahead and see if I can get him to, basically answer some of the questions that I asked to other videos, other people, and and he said, "Yeah, I'll definitely do that." And one day later, he sends me a an email with 12 pages of information regarding our stuff here. So brace yourself. This is going to be a heck of information. This is definitely going to be some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to kind of stop in different spots just to kind of highlight some big points that I think he makes. So bear with me. Obviously, as much as I love to do, have do all these with the interview, I can't. For people that don't speak English, right away, or English normally, then I'm gonna have to do stuff like this. So what I'm gonna do, because I can't multitask, go through the runes and read off what it states. I'm just gonna run some Dragons B10 in the background. So go ahead and minimize this, unless you really want to see what runes I get, and bear with me as I read to you his term paper worth of knowledge here. Okay. So as you guys all know, I generally start with the interview talking about getting some background information on Rengar, and what how he kind of got started in the video gaming industry. Moving his way up into Summoner's War, and then in addition, kind of talking about where he is in Summoner's War with regards to his guild, his rank, and whatnot, so on and so forth. So you obviously already know how he's doing right now. He's generally a top 30 player, Guardian 3 player, always up there in the ranks. So it's a true pleasure and honor to be able to share with you the information that he shared with me this morning. All right. So here we go. He says, and I quote a very long quote. Hey there, Childish. Thanks for the great opportunity. My name is Alex. I'm from Barcelona, Spain. I've been living here since I was 5 years old. Now I'm 21. I've studied in a French school, and right now I'm studying in law school. I can talk a lot about my video game world. Haha. It started pretty early. My first games were Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games, as many other people, like Pokemon and Golden Sun. Then I jumped into other console games like GameCube and PlayStation, but never really enjoyed them as much as computer games, which came later. I discovered WoW really late, but the game was so addictive to me I ended up playing for 1 to 2 years. But it required too much time and couldn't afford it, so I decided to leave it and couldn't dedicate it all the time I wanted to. My friends talked to me about League of Legends. It's a pretty amazing game, which he decided to play for a few years. He enjoyed playing with friends and stuff, but had to leave the game too. There was way too many trolls in ranked parties, I guess. That's his reason for leaving. I've always been looking for games I could really enjoy, and games I like are mostly monster games. I love these type of games. Also, I wanted a game I could play whenever I wanted, but I like a mobile game. I like mobile games because usually mobile games, um, okay, fail. I wanted a game I could play whenever I wanted, like a mobile game, but usually mobile games are pretty boring and I don't play them for a long time. Then last June, I was on the App Store looking for a game and he found Summoners War, which caught my attention. And here he is 1 year later, still playing it and enjoying it as much as I can. At the very, very beginning, he wasn't very effective playing. He foddered a lot of natural 4 stars to evolve to other monsters instead of using them as skill ups, but he learned his lesson later. As far as Nova goes, all I can say is that they're really awesome. Nova and the Nova Academy both have a lot of friends I've met in the past. The oldest ones from channel 109, Duke BLT. Shout out to Duke BLT, High Score, Kidu. I've known them all for almost a year. We used to hang out there in the channel but it has way too much spam, so I decided to leave and find a Singapore channel, channel 65, before the Asia server was created. There, I learned a lot. I saw a lot of the old pro players, which some are still playing, and spent a lot of time checking their builds and their combinations for the arena defense, and even for dungeons to kind of figure out how he can improve himself. So Nova was created with his buddies, and with time, we met new people and started recruiting them. Some are already gone, others joined recently, but all of them are pretty awesome, and they have really good behavior, which is a beautiful thing to have. You know, having a guild, that has a really decent maturity level. Guild, the guild is international since some are from the U.S. and Europeans, and we have some Asian guildmates. Everyone is kind, and we always try to help each other. Whoops, let me read what this says. Okay. Before I fail and sell the wrong one. All right. So the next question I ask him, like I do with everybody, is basically, I call it zero to hero, having him go ahead and talk about his journey from when he first got into the game, as far as him climbing up to the, Guardian 2 and Guardian 3 ranks. So, any and all tips and tricks that he kind of learned along the way to help him secure those spots. So he responds with, well, as everybody, I was once a silver ranker, but I always loved PvP from the beginning, so I never slacked in the arena. I always use my wings. I hate to be full of energy or full of wings. When I started, I was using a usual free-to-play team: Ramagos, Roke, Rena, Seek. The mobs everyone uses when they start playing. He's not free to play, by the way, so he started spending at the beginning. He started spending at the beginning of the game, and mostly what I did was summons a bunch of them. My first Snap 5 was the Fire Chimera, like a few weeks after I started playing, but I didn't know how to use it until this past December, so I never worked on them. Anyway, back to the main question. At the beginning of the game, there was a lot more people than before, since all the Asia players were in Global 2. It took me months to be in Conqueror 1. I couldn't afford it with my defense. So my first step was doing summons till I had some stuff to do. So I had some stuff doing summons until I had some stuff to work on. I had Lucian pretty early, like 2 months after starting the game, and it obviously helped me a lot. I learned watching defenses in the arena, and he learned much. He learned a lot watching defenses in the arena and some ideas how to make a decent arena defense to afford better ranks in the arena. His first defense was a usual Conqueror defense, a speed team. He tried Tyron, Megan, Lucian, and Chloe, or Tyron, Bernard, Megan, and Lucian. All these speed teams, since he had nothing else to put in there. These teams were okay, but the only problem was the AI, and everybody knows that the AI can screw you in the butt there. Um, and also, you got to be faster than your opponent to make it work. So basically, speed teams only work with a crazy amount of speed on your monsters. I started a bit late to farm runes too, since I was in the beginning. I was addicted to 6-star on my monsters, which everyone can relate to. Everyone thinks that 6-star monsters are the end all be all, but if you don't have the runes to support them, they mean nothing, right? He says, my first 6-star was Lucian, and then my 2 Nat 5s, Fire Chimera and Water Occult Girl. After that, 6-star mobs helped me out, but I lacked the good runes or good stacks. Oh, that's just what I said. And didn't have many 6-star runes because I wasn't able to farm giants or dragons. I never farmed dragons until the update, which changed the dungeon bosses mechanics. So I think that was around December. Let's see here. I was pretty active in chat and saw how people talked about the famous Imp team for Giants, so I gave it a try. Made 3 4-star Imps, the Light Fairy, and Seek. That team allowed me to farm Giants B10 for a while. Then I did some other combinations, but that's when I started having good runes for myself. Well, I think I'm kind of explaining my SW life, so I will make a list of some of the important things to do, even if players are other players to mention it in their videos. Okay, so before we get into that, for those that don't know that are new to the game, welcome to the game, welcome to Summoners War. Back in the day, I think it was prior to the December update. Basically, the game was broken in such that the Giants team, or the Giants boss, counterattacked every time you hit him with a critical hit. And of course, everybody, for maximum damage, they always set up the units to have a high amount of crit rate and crit damage. So generally, no zone was able to do without the use of imps because um, you could not, do an attack without, dying. Basically, the giants hit too hard, and then they just, since everybody critted, you just constantly got counterattacked and died. All right. So a lot of changes. A lot of changes. Okay. Moving on. So his next section, he calls this the PvE game player evolution. So here's his tips. You start the game, and if you have great summons since the beginning, don't focus yourself into summoning more, especially if you're free to play. In case you don't summon anything good, you can eventually try for a bit longer, but what I want to recommend to you is to focus on the most important points, which is farm your monsters, farm runes for your monsters at Dragon B10 and Giants B10. Farmable teams are on YouTube. They're all over YouTube. Shout out to Nick the Greek for making farmable setups on all the Dragons and Giants runs. Definitely check out his channel when you can. Hashtag name drop. Uh, let's see here. So it doesn't matter if a team takes long at the beginning. The most important thing is a high success rate. We've definitely talked about that. So you can work on a better time, in the future. Climb Trial of Ascension normal and for great stuff like the summoning stones, crystals, rainbows, and scrolls. It's a monthly bonus, which is great, and it may give you a 5-star or really good monster to work on. Despair rune monsters may help you climbing since the CC or crowd control is the key element for Trial of Ascension. And then he reiterates it in his message. He wants everybody to remember Despair runes are king when it comes to PvE, especially for Trial of Ascension, right? And then Violent runes are going to be your best option generally for 99 out of 100 monsters that you have for PvP. Obviously, there's some certain units that don't benefit from the Violet, but not as much as a Swift set or some of the sort there. So, but yeah, that's the notes that he had for PvE. Okay, with regards to PvP evolution, he says, don't feel bad watching all these defense fails that you have in your match history. It's the most normal thing. Everybody goes through it. The arena defense and now the Guild War defense are the hardest thing in the game for 2 reasons. Okay, this game has only a few really good units, which are very useful for arena. He says mostly 5-star like Perna, Vanessa, Villaggio, and Praha. If you don't have any of these units, it may be really hard to work on it. Also, you need you need good runes and max skill mobs to get the best of them, right? And of course, with regards to Devilmons, being able to get 1 Devilmon a week, it's very, very hard to, max out every single one of your units. So, focusing on which ones are important and putting the Devilmons in it are going to be, your best bet. The defense works by AI, right? And everybody knows that. Which means sometimes your monsters may not use a skill you wish to do, like Chloe's Fanatic or Bernard's Tailwind, so on and so forth. All of those buffers may not use a skill, and then your defense may not work as you had planned it. Now, here's another tip that I really want to point out here. Monsters with 2 skills and 1 passive are great since they have higher chances to use a skill you wish they do, right? So, if we're looking at a unit to utilize a skill like Darien, there's a 50% chance Darien's going to defense break the unit that you want. Versus Bernard, even though his Tailwind is a very good skill, he has 1 of 3 skills that can be utilized at the very, very start. So there's a worse chance that he will not use his good skill versus Darien. Okay. Let's see. So his opinion about this for you is to focus more on your arena offense, being able to clear your list and earning more glory points. If you are an old player, you may know how to use glory points. The glory shop has a lot of stuff and takes a lot of time to upgrade them all. He says somebody calculated to be about 3 years or something like that. So you should focus on what's really worth for you. If you like the PvE stuff, he recommends the Mysterious Plan and Energy Sanctuary to maximize your energy efficiency. If you want to work on stat buildings, he recommends maxing the speed totem, since speed is the most important stat in the game, in his opinion. The crit damage building is also worth it since it's cheap, and the crit damage helps with almost all units, scaling with attack, defense, speed, or HP. Don't buy scrolls that aren't really worth. You can get them in events, dungeon packs, and so rather focus on the building. So I made this mistake too, guys. When I first got started, I was trying to get as many scrolls as I can. So every week, I got my Devilmon, I upgraded the building, and then I wasted, more glory points on scrolls. And I was like, well, it's no big deal, right? I can just, I can get it back pretty quick. I was earning anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 points a week, so I was like, no big deal. But now, if I could, I would have definitely taken that back, as the majority of the buildings that I need to focus on, I probably could have had them maxed out by now if I basically saved those 300 that I was wasting on a week um, to do it here. So okay, let me run this back here. All right, so if you want to work on, oh, fail. I see. I look on the screen and then I go back to the after. I went back to the sheet and I missed my spot. Okay, so this is his scaling. What he calls the scaling in the arena in terms of arena defense was. For speed team utilizes speed team from the silver to gold rank with Tyron, Megan, Bernard, Lucian. Now keep in mind this is what he did. Okay, this is not what everybody should do, but this is what he did. Moving up the ranks. And then from gold to Guardian 1, he used a stall damage team, which was Rakan, Chloe, Darian, and Annabelle. And then his actual team in Veramos, sorry, fail again, woo! Actual team in Guardian 3 is Veramos, Chloe, Darian, and Artemil, which is the light archangel. So, to be at the top of the arena, you need a decent defense, which can be able to make people skip you or win some defense. Also, you cannot fail much in the arena offense. It's very, very important that the units that you fight or the people that you fight, you have a really high chance of taking them down. The problem most of us have is that we're able to climb faster, beating most of our arena lists, but we go down fast as well. Is it normal? Yes, it is, totally. Don't feel bad about all these failed defenses. The hardest thing in the game is your defense. Think about the defense. Think about the defense. Think about your defense can counter some specific teams while it won't be able to counter some other kind of teams. So some tips into setting up your defense. He says utilize a unit with an arena leader skill or a leader skill that can benefit everybody. Obviously get your 6-star runes maxed out with good substats and try to avoid the flat stats with the exception of speed. A good team synergy is a healer, a defense breaker, some kind of nuker, or 2 revivers. So think about the monsters you have and then try to, make it do what it do. If you bring a defense break and a nuker, try to work around their speed so the break defense monster goes before the nuker to apply the debuff and stuff like that. That point right there is probably the second biggest part of his message, guys. Right now, we're throwing our biggest and baddest units in the arena defense, and sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. And no one's really paying attention to the concept of attack sequencing. You know that when you put a defense break in your setup, it definitely allows your arena defense to focus on a unit. That being said, if your other units go before the defense break, the unit that has defense break, then they're going to be hitting all sorts of units. Units that are strong against. The damage is going to be spread out, and you're not going to be able to focus fire. You essentially lose one full turn unless you're utilizing a team that's based on AOEs or something like that. So that being said, that's a very, very big point. So props to you, Rengar, for pointing it out because that's a big, big mistake that a lot of people make. Making sure that your defense break monster has enough speed to go before your nuker. Okay. Some tips for the arena, whatever rank you are. Rengar says is if you have monsters to do it, try the stall damage defense. The stall will give your times mobs to use the correct skill if the AI fails. You will be able to tank the burst teams and also be able to have successful defenses instead of draws, which aren't that great. For the reset hour, which is the hour right before the arena reset, I recommend you utilize a stall team hard to kill fast, since people will avoid you if they spend too much time fighting you. They're looking for the quickest kills, and so you definitely will benefit from utilizing the stall team. Let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. the next question, I asked him what are some of the things that you have been known for, and then seeing if he wanted to talk about any kind of particular units or rune setups that are unique to you, or units that you have. Ooh, yeah, buddy. Always can use violent hit point runes. Okay. Rengar says he's been in channel 9 or 109 for months and then moved to channel 65. He's also in some of the line groups, so a lot of people know him. I don't mind helping other people, like answering questions to try to help them out or figure out a team for specific dungeons or arena defense for any TOA stage. I like to do that. People may know me because I am the guild master of a top 10 guild in global, which is known as Nova. The people are great. A lot of his friends are from the Nova Academy, which is less competitive, but allowed him to farm glory points without the fun and stress of not being able to win, or being not able to win the opponents in the highest ranks. I've been very active in the game and generally chatting, quite a bit chatting. So I frequently am in game channels and in line. People are more than welcome to ask their questions for help, and I will gladly help them. I started hearing my name when I built my Fire Chimera with good runes, and a lot of people have this monster and they like the build, so people started talking about it. One of my best rune units. It helped me a lot in the arena, and as a PvP unit, not really usable for PvE. Nuking their Eladriels, their Brians, and other tanky units, which made it very easy. He's basically, once he kind of got some of these units set up, he stopped doing summons for a few months since he realized the best thing for him was to farm the runes for his monster and make him even stronger. He loves to summon, but his last tries doing a lot of summons were pretty disappointing, so he just stopped. Sad face. He only uses his crystals for energy refills to farm Dragon's B10. He doesn't farm Giant's B10 since he has beaten Trial of Ascension Normal and Trial of Ascension Hard, so he doesn't need the runes that Giants give. So there's a huge kind of pointer there, guys, to make note. Once you get yourself to the point where you're auto-clearing Giants B10, auto-clearing Dragons B10, and auto-clearing Trial of Ascension Normal, the crystals should not be going to, trying to get, premium packs 24/7 unless you need the fodder. They should be going towards energy refills to get yourself more runes. I definitely like the concept that he points out here. So take note of that, guys. That's another big point there. I think that's big point number 3. All right. Let's see here. I'm focused on improving myself for Arena and Guild Wars, so violent for the win, as far as the runes go. Almost 2 weeks ago, he summoned the Light AA from the normal Lightning Dark Scroll, Trial of Ascension normal Lightning Dark Scroll. He was pretty excited about that, not having a natural 5-star for almost 9 months. As far as other things he is known for, he has been able to hold consistently the top 30 and most of the time the top 10. So he became a very popular name. If there was a topic that he wanted to point out to the community, it's the value of crit damage. He's a big fan of the crit damage slot number 4. In slot number 4, it works for almost all monsters and makes attack scaling incredibly nice. It requires a high recruit rate, of course, and a decent main set applied to the damage that scales with attack or defense, etc. But for a lot of units, nukers, mostly that stat is really worth, Okay. So the next question I asked him was, his thoughts regarding the current meta, and then his favorite go-to arena offense team that gets the job done as far as holding the Guardian ranks there. So he says, well, the current meta has changed since Veramos was released. We all know that. The monster is way too overpowered, even if I use him too. His skill set is really broken and changed the game for free-to-play players and play-to-win players. And so before I keep on going with that, just so you guys know, I mean, we make that, you've heard this from the previous 3 videos, how important it is to, I really don't need that. How important it is to, get yourself this Dark Ifrit, okay? When the unit is maxed out, he has a 75% chance to land a continuous damage. In addition, his AoE stun, that's based off of max HP, has a 60% chance to proc the stun when it's maxed out. So, utilizing that in addition to a violent set on him is pretty darn strong. which is why everyone is, making the comment that he's pretty OP. I ain't gonna lie. I think they're going to, reduce the cooldown and maybe the actual stat as far as the percentage chance, because they are definitely high. So, Rengar thinks somewhere this is worth it. So we have to improve ourselves and make the appropriate changes to adjust ourselves to the new meta. But also Veramos, when the Veramos was released, it killed a lot of monsters, which really were awesome before the game, before he came into the game. So the example that he gives is his Anavel, which is the Water Cold Curl. It's a really strong monster with an AoE defense break for 3 turns. A cleanse with the heal and a possible sleep that gives you another turn. But the biggest, the big whammy on that one was the defense break AoE for 3 turns. Can be cleansed off once Pheromos, utilizes his skill. So let's see here, and she basically becomes useless. So I don't know. I don't use her anymore in the arena, but sometimes Rengar does in Guild Wars. His arena offense has changed a lot with time. Before this update, in which they changed the attack bar system, he was using Megan, Bernard, and Devolution, outspeeding everyone. And of course, since his Lucians have high crit rate and high crit damage, he was able to wipe pretty much everybody. It was fast and funny, as he states it. I put a lot of work in there, and right now it doesn't work anymore versus the Nemesis runes and Chloe's mostly, so I had to improve something else. Also, I was also using Chloe, Bella, Sigma, and Chasun, or Rakan instead of Sigma. He usually goes with a healer, a defense break, a nuker, and then the last spot just depends on the current set of enemy monsters he's fighting. Right now, the most frequent team that he uses is Veramos, Sigmaris, Artemel, and Bella. This arena offense is rare but very effective, since Veramos and Artemel gives me a lot of stuns so that I can move with less pressure. Same as before, I take Rakan instead of Sigmaris if I need a fire tank, or there is much wind on the other side, and let's see here. Or if there's much wind on the other side. Okay. Right now, the only person he cannot beat on a regular basis is Barian. As we all know, the top 1 global player by far, and really deserved. I think he is awesome mobs. He has awesome mobs and found a kind of an awesome defense which works versus almost everyone. And that is why he's number 1. Other great opponents are Scat Fetus, Goon 978, or Mevrid. All of them have a great arena defense. There is also a lot of other players for sure. So Rengar thinks the best meta for AD, excluding Barian since he's on another level, is to have a cleanser or an immunity buffer to avoid the break defense, which hurts the most. So try to protect your units with some heal and elemental advantages. This is another point, guys. A lot of people try to figure out how to take out some of these big units or tanky units or speedy tanky, whatever. The defense break is crucial. You really can't, have successful arena defenses or arena offenses without a defense break. You just don't do enough damage before they can get heals off, so on and so forth. So, Rengar states that you can't counter everyone with your arena defense, so you should try to focus on countering people around your ranks. Then he points out Scat Fetus, which he made a comment about, as well as Bomber gave him a name drop on this. He does something very smart, which not a lot of people do, which is switching his defense from time to time, so some people would have more difficulties versus one of them. A very smart strategy. I think some others are broken too, like 10 units. He says the 10-unit rule in the arena, and that's pretty unbalanced. We all don't have the chance to pull some of these monsters for 80, like Vanessa with the best speed leader in the game, or Perna, Camila, good nukers in 80, which can survive long enough. Anyway, we all have to deal with what we have. So, moving on to the next section with this Guild Wars. Wow, we are getting a shit ton of violent runes. I tell you what. All right. So I asked I asked Rengar if he wanted to talk about Guild Wars with regards to anything, to the mid-level players should consider when setting up their offense or defense in Guild Wars. Should they consider stall teams, or do you think that you should utilize offensive teams, and why? So Rengar replies with, Guild Wars are very recent. I think we are all still figuring out how to make the best Guild War defenses and how to counter some kind of Guild War defenses with good Guild War offenses. Oh my God, excuse me. Sneezing all over the place. Talk about, what do we have to fail? We need to make an epic fail counter on the video. I think that's like 4 fails. All right, so here we go. Guild War is completely different than the arena, as you guys all know. The arena, you can make an arena defense to stall, kill, or avoid being attacked. Anything could work there. But the purpose of a Guild War defense is completely different. In this situation, you want to kill. You want to help your guildmates killing some of the enemy monsters to make it easier for them. You do not want to make a stall team, which won't do any damage and can be nuked with some time. Of course, Guild Wars is 3v3, which makes it really difficult, with regards to the 4 versus 4. He has seen a lot of different Guild War defenses, and most of them are from the top 10 guilds. So he has an idea of the different defenses you can run. Okay, a speed burst defense. An example that he gives is Tyron, Bernard, Vale, Tyron, Bernard, and Zyros. This is an example of a YOLO team. This defense usually won't work, and if it does, you need 2 things: the AI to be good with you and to be faster than your opponent, which can be very difficult if you don't have the runes. Okay, so why is this valid? For some of you guys that are new to the game, they don't understand why this team would be good. Tyron is a speed leader. Tyron will make the Bernard faster. Bernard will give the speed buff with the attack with the attack speed increase and the attack bar increase. And then you got Zyros, which finishes the job by utilizing one of his 2 AoEs, hopefully the AoE that reduces everybody's cooldown time. And if he is fast enough, he can get that done before the other team has a chance to even attack. And even if they do attack, they don't have their skills to utilize, so pretty much they can't do anything with the exception of throw a couple whatever their primary skill is. I mean, even healers are going to be screwed because healers don't have their stuff. Okay. As far as other teams to try besides a speed burst defense, you got the tanky damage defenses or the bruiser type units, which is the Beast Monk, the Veramos, the Darians, the Grogos, which is the light golem, are tanky monsters that can do a lot of damage and are worth investing on them in Guild Wars. For all the mid-level players or any other unit or any other players who wants to improve this Guild War, I would say try to balance it and do a good combination of monsters and speed tempo. Try to have a leader skill that works here. If it's not possible, it doesn't really matter, but it's always good to have it. Mostly what works is, for the best Guild War defense, is a nuker, a healer, and a defense breaker. That is the classic setup. You can obviously do other combinations, but this one is balanced and can work well with good runes. Also, depending on what your monsters are, it can be better or not. Rengar suggests that you guys put your top 2 defenses that can kill at least one of the enemy monsters. Usually that'll help the next guildmate's opponents as they will fight without the possibility of one of their main units. So I'll stop here on the comment and make a note that it is another valid point. Big point there for Rengar. That is a very big thing with regards to Guild Wars, and some of you guys are in the beginner to mid stages. You guys know that you're limited to anywhere from 5 to 10 6 stars or whatever, or maybe even lower. And once you lose one of your best units, that is huge, right? You try to get into the regular, using the rest of your swords, and no team no unit that you fill in for your best unit is going to work as good as your best unit. So that in turn brings it down greatly the chance that the opponent can beat your defense, giving you the opportunity to get more free points, defensive points. In addition, a defensive win for your guild on your behalf. Okay. Let's see. So as far as offense goes, can be whatever you want, is what Rengar says. But as some Guild War guys, as some of the Guild War guys in Reddit state, if you are not sure to win, try the first fight with the weakest enemies so that you have more chances to keep your monster alive for the next battles. Try to take some time about which the units are going to use, and keep in mind most of the monsters in Guild War are on violent runes. Everybody utilizes violent runes, so nope. All right. Violet runes, okay? And so he makes a comment here that this set of runes makes Guild Wars or Arena, even though we're talking about Guild Wars, a random world, the value of unpredictability is strong, okay? Rengar's advice to you is to keep in mind the most useful runes in the arena and the Guild Wars are the Violent, the Will, the Nemesis, and the runes as a two set. The Revenge runes as a two set. Okay. The next comment that I make, or that I ask him, question I ask him, is what's his style? And this is a typical comment that you guys have heard. What's the most underrated and overlooked unit in the game today, in his opinion, and then tips on how to use it better. And he says there is a difference between monsters, which are, oh my god, fail, look at this. All right. He says there's a difference between the monsters which are underrated by people because they don't know how to use them, and monsters that need a buff because they aren't really useful compared to their other elements of the same unit or other units. I think two of the most underrated monsters are the Dark Dragon and the Dark AA, and the most overlooked unit may be Perna or Veramos. I don't know much about the Dark Dragon or the Dark AA Archangel. Never seen them much in Arena just as a rep monster, but their skill set is pretty bad being a natural 5 light and dark. The Dark AA could deal massive damage, but I'm pretty sure that it needs really good runes, defense break, a defense buff, and then the allies need to be dead to deal this amazing amount of damage. Being a nat 5, they should make him more useful than what he is. The Dark Dragon also has a bad skill set. His chance of stun is extremely low. I think it's like 5%. It's something stupid. I don't remember what it is, but and a third skill guarantees a critical hit on all the elements except dark. Those skills aren't amazing either. If I had them, I would rune the Dark AA with Violent Guard, Revenge, with defense, crit damage, and defense to maximize on his damage, and the Dark Dragon, Despair, or Violent Blade with attack, crit damage, attack. All right. And then about the overlooked units, we have, he says, Perna. And he says, we all know he has a secret chance to proc, a high secret resistance, etc., etc. Pheromone's skill set is just too overpowered. With Violent, he can cleanse more than one debuff, and his AoE stun has only a 3-turn cooldown. So with Violent, he might be able to stun twice if he's lucky enough to get through it. Also, even with a support build, he does really nice damage. He thinks he is broken even though he uses them. So, it's funny. Yeah, the whole cleansing part of it, it's awesome, but definitely strong. I think this might make his skill set invaluable, but this is just a side opinion. I would love to see Come to Us reduce. I would love to see Come to Us reduce the debuff removal in such that it doesn't remove the actual buff per se, but it reduces the counter of the spell. It shortens the length of the harmful effects, if that makes sense. So, for example, if somebody were to, if it was an Annabelle, right, and she put an AoE defense break for 3 turns, it would reduce the turns from 3 to 2, and the next turn from 2 to 1, and then from 1 it removes it. I would like to see that. That would be a nice change. And then again, it sounds like that would be too much of a change, but not really, not necessarily, because if you're still running the violent set, chances are you're gonna be able to reduce it by 2 turns, and generally most debuffs are 2 turns. But again, it's all based on RNG, so that'd be kind of cool. Come to us. I hope you're listening. Here we go. His rune set that's most underrated and overlooked, um, let's see, is the or he thinks the worst set is the vampire set, not the most underrated overlooked. But basically, he thinks vampire runes are free mana, and they are. They sell for quite a bit. Um, and the only monster that he's used with vampire is Ramagos. Any other with that, and any other with that set. Basically, he thinks Violent owns. Rengar thinks Violent owns or any other set for PvP, and Despair is the best one for PvE. So Vampire really can't find a place. The self heal is nice, but the violent procs are very, very important, way better than the Vampire life drain. As far as an overlooked rune, um, he says violent maybe, but of course it's violent, right? What happens in the arena or guild wars when you lose? You get effed by violent procs, right? That's the answer. For Vampire, I really don't have an answer on how to use them, since I'm not a fan of this set. But for Violent, use Violent most of your monsters and you won't regret it. So farm those runes. And even if your mobs aren't Violent, don't forget to give them some speed. Speed slot 2 or speed substats so they can attack more often, which is more opportunities to proc. In addition to his stuff, if you can't get a speed slot on 2, or maybe your unit benefits from not having speed on 2 and something else, always keep an eye out for speed, runes that have the speed substats. The ability to increase, the speed substats on it. With like a, +6, +9, +12, so on and so forth. Okay. The next question is the greatest epic fail in the game. You guys know that I'm with a group of people called Epic Fail, which is a group of people that embraces failing as much as we can. We're all about it. So I asked him, what's his biggest fail in the game? He says, great question. He's been playing for 1 year. He's trying to remember his epic fails, and he thinks it was when he almost foddered his Rakan 6-star. He says, never though about an use for him and wasn't using him, and so I felt pretty disappointed. So it looks like, never thought about it. Never thought about a use for him and wasn't using him, so he felt pretty disappointed, but he's glad that he didn't do it. That was a few months after he started playing. He also had big hopes for Yen, which is the wind Rakshasha, and he has 6-star ones, but never used her, and every day I look at her thinking about following her to Hua just to skill up all of her skills. He kind of wants to collect 6-stars and would feel bad about following a 6-star. That'd be pretty rough to swallow. That'd be a rough pill to swallow. I don't think I could do that. He foddered a Dark Reaper, which could have helped me in TOA hard, but anyway, he made the Water Reaper, which is also awesome to complete TOA hard. Also, as he said in the beginning, I regret foddering a lot of natural 4s and 5-stars to 6-star units instead of using them as skill up or evolve plus the skill up. He says he's just too impatient. I think that is pretty much it, guys. So I asked him if he wanted to give any shout outs or anything else he wanted to say to his viewers. He says, enjoy the game and just farm every day. Be patient. The 5-stars will come, even if you are free to play or pay to win. He has some friends with 3+ natural 5-stars that are free to play, another play to play players that have none. What I mean is enjoy the game and don't expect much on summons. Do the best with what you got. And if you play this game, you must know like it's a casino. Come to us always wins, right? Or as YDCB would say, the house always wins. I'll tell you guys, here are the monsters that I used for certain achievements in the game, and you can check my monsters in the top 30 arena. So if you guys, since you guys know that I normally showcase the monsters here, he is in the top 30 generally all times, with the exception of the arena reset for those first few days. So at any time you won, you can check out his monster and then ask him any questions down below. And if you want to go ahead while you're sitting here watching the video, go ahead and put any additional questions in the comment section down below in this video, and I'll make sure Rengar gets them so he can respond back to you when he is available, because he loves answering your questions. Okay. He says, Let's see here. Um, this next list is just certain achievements that he hit in the game and the teams that he did it with. Okay, so Giants P10 teams. He uses Orochi, Lucian times 2, Shannon, and Bernard, or Sigma, Lucian, Vermos, Bella, and Shannon. His best time clearing is 1 minute and 21 seconds. Dragons B10 is Vertihill, Sigma, Bella, Megan, and Vermos. The attack order is Vermos as the lead, Megan, Bella, Vertihill, and then Sigma. His best time is 144. All right, and then we got Trial of Ascension Normal. On the new Trial of Ascension, he basically cleared stage 1 through stage 50 with 2 Lucians and a Sigmars, and then 2 other random units. Stages 50 through 70, he utilized 2 Lucians, a Sigma, and a Chasun. From stage 70 to 99, Tyron, Chasun, double Lucian, and Sigma. Some floors he had to switch 1 Lucian out, or he had to switch out Sigmars, just depending on the floor. And then stage 100, he took his TOA hard team because he was rushing for rank 1 on global and didn't want to die. Let's see. And then his TOA hard units that he used was Tyron, Beretta, Shannon, Vermos, Hemos, which is the Water Grim Reaper, Sigmaris, Brian, Chasun, Hua, and Bernard. And then the actual team that he utilized on stage 100 of the hard team, Vermos, Chasun, Brian, Bernard, and Hua. He says he is also on Reddit if you guys ever need anything, and he says thank you for your time and see you soon. So that is it, guys. I want to give a huge shout out to Rengar and everybody in Clan Nova. A really, really good group of people, good community, and you can see a majority of them in Channel 65. That being said, don't be surprised if it is quiet when you do, say hi or, ask for questions, as they are some of the top players in the game and are constantly, playing in the arena, doing what they got to do to keep their rank. So, please be patient with them, and I'm sure that people will be able to help you out. That being said, I always recommend utilizing Reddit forums, or basically YouTube, the YouTube comments and description, so that people can respond to you at their time, and get an opportunity to look at your stuff, objectively or subjectively, right, and then give you some good feedback here. So that is it, guys. It's your boy Childish and Rengar with Childish Plays checking out for the 4th episode of Educate and Dominate. Thank you all for your patience. Again, I know it's a different kind of style, as he doesn't, speak English, but I still wanted to bring to you this information, as I feel some of the newer people that are coming into this channel that are in those beginner, intermediate, and even advanced too, can learn a lot from this. He provided a well-rounded amount of information on all stages. So again, despite the fact that some of this stuff has been repeated, from various forums and this and that, whatever, the reason why he brings this up and provides this insight to you, because is the talking about this stuff time and time again is a friendly reminder that this is what you should focus on. It's not about having the best 5-star units and this and that or whatever. Focusing on the facts, getting those runes, focus on the synergy, and making it work is what it comes down to at the end of the day, if you want to take your game to the next level. So take care, guys. We'll see you next time.